Well, you just met me, but I'll introduce myself again. I'm Diana Martin. I'm head of solutions for the Transportation and Public Works team in the Data and Technology Services Division. And thank you so much for the opportunity for us to present. We're really delighted to always talk about our team and our Knack opportunity or experiences. Technical issues.
Oh, and I think my mouse is off.
Oh.
Sorry, Kristen, I didn't. I know you're.
There we go.
All right, so I'd like to introduce my team who's here with me tonight. We have our applications and solutions team. You've also met them, but Christina Tremmel is one of our product managers, and she is super knowledgeable about operational applications. So that's why she's here with us tonight speaking. We've met Crispin, who's one of our lead application builders, and he specializes in permitting and programs applications with our city. And then we have Caro, she's a core builder on our team. She has a lot of vast experience with Open Data Portal and other solution platforms. So she's been a great asset. And Suzanne is one of our newest members on the team, and her expertise is in geospatial and business intelligence platforms. Oh, sorry, go back. And yeah. Okay, sorry, we'll be going over who we support, who we are, our Knack journey, and kind of our best of apps, like what we're proud of in our application, what's ahead, and our extending the value of Knack for us. All right, so who we support. We are a data and technology team that supports the Transportation and Public Works Department. Our department's mission is to provide safe, reliable, and accessible mobility services for all Austinite. And these are our stakeholders. So the Transportation and Public Works Department is comprised of about 33 divisions now and approximately 970 employees, and they all do very different things. So we have engineers who design and assess the transportation system. We have planners who are making long-term city plans to improve transportation in the city. We also have technicians that install pavement assets such as signs and markings, traffic and pedestrian signals, and we also have the divisions that issue permits for the right-of-way and for mobility dockless permits, those little scooters that you see all over the place. We have other operational divisions that remove hazards on the street and the right-of-way, maintain trees along the right-of-way, improve pavement conditions, and respond to emergencies. And also the other countless amounts of teams that support the entire department, such as your finance, public works, HR, and of course our team. So you might be asking yourselves, who are we though? We're a progressive civic technology team, and it's our division's mission to leverage high quality data and modern technology to support and empower our staff to improve their operations, track meaningful metrics, make data-informed decisions, and deliver excellent mobility services to the Austin community. Every day, we solve real problems for real people. So these are some of our service offerings that we have. But what we primarily do is we modernize software development processes while introducing good, agile, and human-centered design practices, design and streamline internal systems to save time and unlock insights from data. We also improve public-facing services like websites and applications, and we manage and publish geospatial data. So this is us. These are the faces that are providing services to our employees. Today, the team consists of solution architects, software engineers, product managers, IT support analysts, and geospatial analysts. So let's see how Knack fits into our story. We'll talk about the time when we weren't always this streamlined and efficient. So this was life before Knack. Just 9 years ago, we were in a completely different place. I can attest to this because when I started in 2013 and 2014, there was just tons of paper. It was like the Wild West of paper. So some of the issues that we were encountering was dealing with multiple copies of spreadsheets, paper-based processes for critical operation tasks like work orders and asset inventory. So I was working with a gal, and it was her job to count. Go back one slide. Oh, wrong way. She was supposed to count these paper work orders by hand to get monthly reports. And so it was all different numbers. Like, so if we were tracking a specific type of thing, she was counting those ones, and she would organize them in those piles of, markings particularly, or this is like, a long line type marking. So that was what she was responsible for. And it took her hours. This is Sorry, this is a real picture of those work orders that we took for a different presentation, but it's still true till 2023. That's pretty impactful. All right. So the other things that we had issues with was that data simply wasn't searchable. There was lots of manual effort for like the basic reporting, as I mentioned. There was also lots of multiple streams of data, and workflows were just in disarray. So we had no single source of truth, which meant data wasn't ever in real time or automated. So as Jen mentioned, that's where she wants to go, centralize some of her data. So what do? We needed to stop the chaos and figure out how to handle and empower teams to innovate and do their job. My predecessor, John Clary, was hired to fix and improve a data management system for an operational division. And what he was trying to do was find a solution to address those stakeholder pain points. The stakeholders were just pretty much surrounded by paper and inefficient process. So what we were looking for in a technology solution was if it was open enough to integrate with current and new solutions, powerful enough to accommodate custom workflows and for our mobile workforce, flexible enough to handle ever-changing user requirements critical to their business. So as we were searching for solutions, we came across Knack and the potentials that we saw in it. And so what we saw was that it was easy to learn. It was probably easier than most other platforms. It had a simple user interface, had responsive page layouts, and a robust searching ability. It was fast and efficient and allowed you to prototype solutions in a matter of days versus longer months. So a few ways that we streamlined our business process were we improved productivity. We eliminated over 40 plus paper processes, and now we were able to do reporting, not hours, but in minutes. We also improved data management by allowing data accessibility and empowerment of staff so they could actually see the data that they were entering into a system, because before we would want to look through that pile of paper. So we're also promoting a self-service culture. So if people don't have to ask our team for reports, they can look it up themselves. They didn't used to have that ability. The other thing that we're doing is we're showcasing our data so that it's out there in the public. We're putting data out there in the open data portal, stuff that's coming from Knack. You'll hear about that a little bit later. And also lastly, we have a reduction of our administrative backlog. We no longer have dedicated staff accounting paper. We have it, put the accountability on the technicians, the workers, to get that data in the system. So now my colleague Christina will talk about some of the other apps.
Yeah, so we were talking about how we were in the Wild West, but now we are in the era of embracing technology. And so we just wanted to kind of go over with y'all some of the best of apps. These were nominated by us. So, and there's a lot of apps. We have, I think we said before, there are over 15 enterprise applications that have been built over the past 8 years. And we are now supporting them and maintaining them, but we're only going to capture a couple of them today. So we've highlighted some of them that are the best of apps, and then we have some honorable mentions. So the first app that we want to highlight is the Data and Technology Services Portal, and it is used for housing our service intake form, housing our data set and application inventories, and tracking technical equipment. And this is our Data and Technology Service Request form. It is probably one of our most used forms, and it's how we've standardized intaking requests from our stakeholders. So we've extended this process. One of the things we wanted to highlight is kind of how we're using this data in other places, and we've extended it by using a process that you're going to hear me talk about a lot. It's the ETL process, which for those who aren't familiar, it stands for extract, transform, and load. And basically, it's helping us pull data from Knack into other applications, or pulling data from other applications into Knack to make things more user-friendly. And this is an example of Knack data actually being pushed into GitHub. And that's what we use in Data and Technology Services to manage everything that we're working on. So you can go ahead. And this is kind of what it has been established as the ETL. So you see that the data is coming from Knack. It's being pushed into the city's open data portal. And then that open data is being pushed into GitHub, where we're able to auto assign things. And that's where I, as a product manager, can then review, prioritize, and assign it to all of our teams as needed. And then just wanted to speak to one more thing for those who don't know that what GitHub is. It's a code hosting platform, but we use it for project management and tracking issues. So another thing that is a feature in the data and technology services portal is kind of some Knackception for you, because we're tracking Knack applications in Knack. So you're going to see that we have several environments that we have for each of our applications. Typically, there's a test, a dev, and a prod environment, but we just do that. The purpose is so when there are, like, we first of all have multiple builders that are working, so we all have to manage with each other. And then also, if we're building something that's complex, we don't want to build it in production and break things for people. So we're doing it in test. And then the last thing we wanted to show you in the data and technology services portal is our project evaluations that we do. So we do basically any request that we receive that's going to take multiple sprints, we turn it into a project. And when it is a project, we want to make it really transparent to our department, kind of how it stands in prioritization with other projects that we're working on. So we do an evaluation where we basically analyze the effort versus the value, and then this helps us make decisions on what projects we're going to work on next, and also makes it really transparent to our executives just how much our team is doing. The next app we wanted to highlight was our finance and purchasing application. And this is an internal system that has replaced several email and like paper processes. This is one of the processes called there are purchase requests. And before that, like employees would have to email finance and would have to do emails back and forth to get purchase requests through. But the problem with that is that it was really hard to manage because the finance group had multiple team members. So with Knack, employees can now submit purchase requests, and they go through various levels of review just based on how much the purchase request is for. If it costs more, it has to go through like assistant director approval, sometimes director approval, and sometimes to council. So, and we're able to receive digital approval, and then the finance team can work way more efficiently, and requesters can also see in real time the statuses of what's happening to their purchase request. And we wanted to share one kind of little feature in the finance and purchasing application. And this is a copy function that we use pretty often. It's to make copies of the parent record, which is the purchase request, and then all the child records, which are all the line items for the purchase request, because since we are a department that's pretty operational, there are purchase requests that are like pretty often submitted kind of in cycles. And so this just allows the users to be able to create purchase requests really easily and reduce the amount of time that it takes.
So see.
Yeah. So you see before there wasn't a purchase request, we copied, and then it comes in as a like not submitted purchase request. So the users can make any changes they need to and then go ahead and submit it, but way faster than having to redo it all, and also way faster than sending emails back and forth. And again, I'm going to talk about this a lot, but this is again with we're constantly trying to extend Knack to meet our enterprise business needs. And we want to do this without purchasing expensive technology. So we do this this is an example of kind of the opposite of what data and technology services was doing. In data and technology services, we were taking data out of Knack, but in the finance and purchasing system, there are some really old and not user-friendly financial databases where data exists, and we do want people to utilize it in a more user-friendly way. So that financial database information is being pushed to a data warehouse, and then we're able to automate the way that that data comes into Knack. And so that just makes everyone's lives really a lot easier. And then the last app that I'm going to speak to before handing it off to Kristen is the arterial management data tracker. The arterial management team also is the team that manages all of the signals in the city. And their application is actually the earliest application. So this was circa 2015, and it was the app that started it all. But even though it was the proof of concept, it's still going strong. We have over 250 daily users in this application. And this includes signal and transportation engineers, signal technicians, and mobility management center staff, and more. But they have so much asset data in their data tracker. And like this is an example of a signal, but if you would scroll down, you're able to see all the related child records of all the assets that are associated to the signal. And I can definitely attest, like the Mobility Management Center, they have Knack open all the time because that's where they do most of their management. And to keep going on ETLs, to bring it full circle, this is another application that uses ETL scripts, but our outgoing ETL script in the data tracker allows arterial management to make some really cool dashboards and maps that they can share for internal customers, but also to the citizens of Austin. And so these are some of the places where that data is pushed. That middle is always usually the open data portal when we're pushing things out of Knack, but we can create dashboards and Power BI dashboards and ArcGIS Online maps. And this is one good example of one of the really cool dashboards that we've been able to build. So this dashboard is pulling data from Knack. It's actually also pulling data from some of arterial management's like products that they use internally. And then this map is open to the public. So the public's able to see in real time traffic signals. And actually, if you click on them, they can see like thumbnails of the traffic signal. Cool. And now I'm going to pass it off to Crispin, one of our lead builders.
Thanks, Christina. So I'm going to start with our Transportation Development Services portal. This has become one of our largest apps since 2020, and it's colloquially known as one of my baby apps, or the devs like to call it tedious. So this has also become our actual biggest customer-facing application, and we feature 7 different public services on the TDS portal, such as traffic impact analysis or SIF street impact fee worksheets. We also have 3 additional in-house services, such as development reviews for traffic impact analysis mitigations. What's something cool about the Transportation Development Services portal is we have an access code entry for our customers, so they do not need logins to access the portal and access their case information. And then within that, on their case management page, they can see their case details, view review comments, and then resubmit documentation to our engineers. And then lastly, this app features some advanced task tracking and reporting tools that are really important to the division. So next, we're going to do a short demo of the customer portal. And so at the top, you're going to see a top nav navigation that the customers can navigate to any of the pages they have access to. Within the landing page, we have buttons where they can access their case, they can view available services, or they can access our resource sites for TDS for the SIF program on our austintexas.gov sites. So navigating to available services, they can read a description about each of the services that we offer, and then they can navigate with the top menu to each of the ones. On each of these pages, we have a description of what they are, the requirements necessary, the documents that are available for to them that they need to attach to those application processes, and then, of course, a start application button to begin their application. Navigating back to the top menu, we also have a contact page, so customers can reach out to their reviewer for their area. And then next up, we're going to show how one customer would access their case. Here they would go to their access code page, they would enter the code for their case, they would be able to navigate to it, and then they would be able to see their case details and then do their resubmittals through here. So next, we're going to talk about some honorable mentions, some that we would just want to briefly touch on, but not go too in depth in. And so first up, we have shared mobility services. This is a licensing and permitting portal that allows third-party micromobility vendors that do short-term rentals like bikes and scooters in the right-of-way And this has quite a hefty application process that requires 12 to 15 documents. And with that comes a document review. Additionally, this application features fee calculations and invoicing. And so here's a collaborative view of what shared mobility services looks like for both the customer and the reviewer. We had to prototype this view several times because of the limitation with record creation performance and the ability to be more transparent with the customers so they can see all the requirements that are needed for all the documentation. Additionally, you are able to add, update, and review those documents here. So next up we want to touch on is the Street Banner Program Portal. So this is our program management tool for the Street Banner program to allow nonprofit third parties to advertise their community events or information to Austinites and visitors. And so this features an application process and review as well, and invoicing like our shared mobility services. What's really cool about Street Banner program though is we do have a city approved payment processor integration with Citybase. The last one honorable mention is the traffic register. This is one I'm currently working on. And the goal with this one is to remove the paper processes for the transportation engineering group and then be able to take their Microsoft Access database and digitize it to Knack in a way so we can house all the regulation descriptions and their locations. So with that, we want to be able for engineers to be able to draft and approve those regulations, and at the end be able to produce PDF documentation for them. The last thing I want to talk about today is extending our value with Knack and how our years of experience of using Knack, we've kind of honed and standardized the way we use it and how we want to leverage Knack in a way that works for everyone, improves processes, and allows us to come up with new solutions as we build and design them. So some of the things I wanted to talk about was our ability to streamline our service request intake most recently. We've also been able to put a priority on saving, sharing, and replicating our code so it's easy to apply and use. We've tried to make it our style and design across our wide variety of apps similar so that it's device agnostic across our wide variety of users. And then finally, I wanted to touch on coming down from the city is our ability to meet accessibility guidelines for our wide variety of users. And that concludes our presentation and talk. I again want to thank you for the opportunity for us to do this. If you have any questions or comments, please come talk to any of us. And you can always reach out to us at transportation.data@austintexas.gov. Thanks.
Did anybody have a couple of quick questions for the team before we move on to the product section?
Yeah, you were doing, so we all build the $2 that you don't hold that in house.
We do.
Okay, and then my next question is, it's a little right in the game, so I assume we all are copying, we all making this by copy, hey, we want to copy structure. Is that native Knack? So y'all are stripping that out? Okay.
Custom as well. We have developed it, but it's probably not the best, most efficient code. We want to improve that actually, because we do have another application, our performance reviews for HR. They would like that ability as well. So we've gotten to the end where it's the end of the year and they're like, we want the same exact thing for next year. And we're like, how do we do that without, hampering down our dev team? So our development team is going to need to look at it, because as of right now, I think what's happening is the code is looking at it every couple of minutes and it's not the most, efficient process, right?
Yeah, quick follow-up. So you said you're checking, are they inside the transportation? Are they like so?
They're with
Yeah.
our department.
Yeah.
So the people that you saw when I said, oh, I don't know if you can later, but we have about 23 or so members on our team. And they're all consisting of different, people. So we have our software development team, we have product, we have our geospatial, and we have application. So we have been contracting them out. They are contractors, but they're within our team.
When you need a new solution, do you first look to see the software as a service application? Is your default to build it in-house with Knack? How do you make those decisions about, okay, we've got a new requirement? How do you think about that?
Really good question. Well, we don't always want to have to build something brand new. And so we definitely look at the value of whether or not it should be something that they need fast. Is it something that they need that's expensive? We don't want that. And maybe we'll consider, doing it in-house. And also just kind of like, that's, as you saw in the project evaluation, we're evaluating all of those things. And so that's kind of how we make our decisions. Right now, we ended up merging with another sister department, and we're one new department now. They use an enterprise application, and we use Knack. And so it's like, we're having those discussions. People are asking us, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna retire the other one? Are you gonna make an entirely new Knack app? And we're like, right now, we don't know. What we have to do is we have to find out what the processes are, because we don't want to just jump into a solution. That's just like the worst way to go about something, right? So once we find out the processes, if we find there's any similarities, we might assess and go, well, is this working for you? And what we've been hearing hasn't been working really well. So maybe we'll continue to extend that existing application before we decide to make something completely custom.
Does any of your apps actually produce like a deliverable print, a PDF or a print?
Yes.
That you then print and use?
Correct. So invoices do. We also have the traffic regulations, which we've been working on. One of the drawbacks, like out of the box, is that we can't do that and send it in the email. So you have to use like a third-party integration that would do that. Yeah. But Crispin's definitely looking into a lot of different products.
It's currently a problem I'm working on.
Yeah, it's on his spread.
When you find that, send me an email. Yeah, confident everybody wants to know, how do you do that?
So the other thing is our data, as we mentioned, is shareable and transparent to everybody. We are using GitHub, and that is, we can tell they share that information. We use Gitbook for our documentation for Knack builds. So any kind of code snippets that we are finding useful, or if we have like data calculations that are happening all the time and they're complicated, we're not going to remember 6 months down the road. We always tell ourselves, like, what would you like to know in the future? And would your, future self appreciate you?
But it is open to the public.
Yes, that's also.
One word, sorry, talk all the time, but, probably not the, also they don't manage, like all the applications inside of that. Are y'all like deploying from inside that application as well? So like, are y'all private cloud or like, yeah.
Oh, like within the DTS app, like how we're managing it. So it's not being deployed in the application.
No, it's like-
It's just to track all the environments that we have and that are existing. Yeah.
So that was something that we discovered early on. We're like, oh, we can't just copy and paste it. But I do appreciate the copy and paste function that you do have. Because I remember one time I actually deleted a bunch of things and deleted like 23 pages. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I could have access. And so you guys restored it for me, it was great. But yeah, I now see how I'm teaching other people how to build in Knack. And it's like so quick. When I was doing it at first, I was like, I gotta sit down, I gotta do this whole thing. And so it was definitely, it's gone from that to where we are now, modernized.